years ago. I bet I could still find her. And I bet she's still as pretty as when she's running up down the road. While past his eyes. And the sighing of the pines up here in timberland. I wish I had done things different. Revolution don't make it so. For the time has passed so quick. Years all running out of now. And I hold on years ago. Do you know what he did yesterday? 50 years ago. Yesterday, oh, 50 years ago. 50 years ago.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kevin Jenkins, it's showtime. Are you ready to be a part of the Northern Cheyenne Reservation? Welcome to Lame Deer. My name is Trent Luce. We're certainly glad that you could be a part of this. We're going to have a little different type of a program this evening. Actually, we're just going to wait to see what happens, but we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please stand and join me, I will lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And while you're standing, Lonnie Hanna, all the way from California to do our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Lon. Thank you, Lon. Thank you, Lon. Third time's a charm. And now, Chief Phillip Whiteman Jr. will lead us the invocation with the Cheyenne prayer.
Ahom ayo Shawataman na watch shaman hodoma omen Masashta iho and situm hio gesnaneho Shawataman no mahayanas Dakat zidu dakat zinena do zidho namat viho Masashta iho and situm dakat nenaxta with namato open Nyawan Shawataman no mahayanas Danisheno na dos near shamano. I would like to welcome you to our Northern Cheyenne Reservation. This is our ancestral homeland. And my grandfathers were chiefs at the Battle of the Little Bighorn. My ancestors have engaged in my family in every conflict and in every war that this country has engaged in. If it wasn't for our code talkers during the time when it was the most critical for this country, we might not be standing here today. Our Native Americans have contributed so much to this country after the Battle of the Little Bighorn. This flag means something to us. It was my grandfathers that picked it up on the battlefield and sang a song asking the Creator, where did this come from? Why does it have to be this way? But they knew that they were connected to Spirit. I would like to sing you the Northern Cheyenne flag song.
Thank you to our host, Chief Phillip Whiteman Jr., and we're going to introduce his wife, Lynette Two Bulls, in just a moment, but I do have to tell you this little story because so much of who I am today happened from October 31st, 1998 through December the 18th, 2002. And I remember those exact days because those are the years we lived on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And there are great challenges on reservations. And as I'm putting together this tour and this trip, I just knew that we needed to come and visit the reservation. And I knew Chief Phillip Whiteman for quite some time, and I've had him on the radio. I knew how well he speaks about the history and the culture and the heritage. And there are great, great challenges in reservation life today. fetal alcohol syndrome is a problem. Hope and desire to be a part of shaping the future is a problem. And so when we have an opportunity like we have with Chief Phillip Whiteman Jr. and his wife Lynette Two Bowls to share with us, I had to take advantage of that for all of us and for the viewing audience as well as us here. But I realized today that I needed to be here because we spent 20 minutes in that round pen with the horse, and that man brought me back to what was really at the core of my life, and that is the world around us, how we're moved and how we interact with nature and how we interact with our family. And so as this tour continues to be a resurrection tour for the nation, in some ways it's a resurrection tour for each one of us. And so God was sending me that note. Bob, he was tapping me on the shoulder saying, you need to be here because this group, this movement, and this family have got a lot of work to do together. And that's why we're so proud to be here on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation with the Cheyenne today. We're going to have a very unique program this evening. First, I'm going to call up the man who had the vision to go out on the road. His name is Robert David Steele. I'm going to ask Robert to come up and share a few words about why we end up on the Arise USA, the Resurrection Tour, Faith, Family, and Freedom to begin with, and how we are on our route to Mount Rushmore and celebrate the independence of our nation, and then we continue on through the rest of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert David Steele.
Well, let me begin by pointing out that our signal poster has the great American chiefs on top of it. Because before there were white guys on Mount Rushmore, there were Native Americans. Today I'm not going to talk about what I usually talk about, which is that we have three big problems that we all share in common: election fraud, Wall Street treason and crime, and satanic pedophilia. And we have a solution. We have every email, every text, every game chat, every banking transaction, not only for every traitor, elite pedophile, and white-collar criminal, but for every federal, state, and local official that has betrayed the public trust. Today I want to talk a little bit about genocide. We genocided the Native Americans. We've genocided the black people. And we have genocided the white people. And so my core point is we're all in this together. There is no divide between the Native Americans and the blacks and the whites and others. There is only a divide between the 99% and the 1%. And I did my first of several graduate theses on predicting revolution. All of the preconditions of revolution exist in the United States of America today. And as I was talking to the chief earlier, we agreed that the genocide continues today. The vaccine is a form of genocide. And Dr. Judy Mikowitz told me on one of my video interviews that the National Institute of Health has been committed to using vaccines as a means of genociding black people from the first day it was born. I believe in my heart that the spirits are in alignment. I am deeply honored to be here on this Native American reservation, and I note with interest that the Supreme Court just recently gave back half the state of either Oklahoma or Kansas to the Native Americans. Their treaty has not been overturned. Half that state is now officially declared by the Supreme Court to be a Native American reserve. We've got a lot of work to do. When I'm done with this tour and I've paid all the bills, I'm going to focus on creating Web 3.0 and an open source agency. And I've gone across the heartland. What I have seen is the crummiest internet service on the planet. And I think that's by design. They've been trying to dumb us down and drug us up for over 150 years. I am committed to delivering the truth and to delivering democracy in equal measure to the Native Americans, to the blacks, to the whites, to all of us. Now, I'll just mention these bells. They're on loan from Chuck Miller in Brush, Colorado. And they are, I think, a symbol of righteousness Standing here today on this Native American reservation as a guest of the chief, I am feeling both righteous and hopeful. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Robert David Steele. And thanks, Chuck Miller, for making these possible. We are on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. And for those of you that may not know, in some states where the reservations are sovereign, the only law enforcement official for folks is the county sheriff in conjunction with the police department of the tribe itself. So it's vitally important that we bring up our visionary for bringing these counties together, Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association founder, Sheriff Richard Mack.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Trent. To the Cheyenne people here, I thank you so much for the honor of being here and being allowed to address you today. Thank you very much. I come from the great state of Arizona and was sheriff over the half of the San Carlos Apache tribe. I worked very closely with them for about 15 years as sheriff and also as a teacher at the Fort Thomas schools. I taught American history, and there's one part of our history that Robert brought up a little bit about genocide, and I think it's probably the biggest slap in the face that America has ever had, and that was during World War II, where Adolf Hitler complimented America for its genocide against Native Americans. I don't think we could ever have a greater bruise in our history, a greater wound in our history, and a greater slap in the face than for Hitler to compliment us about a genocide that we fought World War II to stop. Astonishing, but it's nevertheless true that this happened here, and the reason that we study history is so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. We need to embrace our Native Americans who were here first. We need to embrace their entitlement to the land, as we just heard. And we need to remember that they were here first, and the rest of us are guests. And that we need to be fair and honest in addressing that historical fact. When I did serve as sheriff, I learned an awful lot from the Navajo, because I had two foster brothers that were Navajo, and that's the biggest tribe in America. Michael Begay and Larry Benally were my brothers. Also, I learned an awful lot from the Apache. Learned a lot about Geronimo, and history kind of paints him as a villain and as a hero. But I kind of compare him to other heroes in the past. That all the wars that he was fought in, he never got wounded. Wyatt Earp was another one. George Washington was another one. And it was said of George Washington that he had the great spirit. The Native Americans in the French and Indian Wars gave him that name, that the great spirit was with him. I also believe that about Geronimo. He was trying to defend his people and his land. And one thing else I learned about when I was sheriff is Trent just alluded to this. The sheriff is the only recognized law enforcement within the tribes of this country, the various tribes. And obviously, there's over 600 Native American tribes in America. And I was proud to work with the San Carlos Apache Police Department. And I was also taken by the tradition that they had in believing the powers of the sheriff. If we put all that together, I believe that we can make a better nation for the people of America today. But we must work together, recognize the mistakes that we've made, and never let them happen again. This is America, and we are hopefully all going to be working together with Native Americans and all of our people today to make America what it was supposed to be, and that is a land of opportunity, fairness, and justice. Thank you so very much for having me. It's an honor to be with all of you this fine, beautiful American Day. Thank you so much.
Sheriff Richard Mack. On the first day, I didn't need to stand on the steps to get him off. How about that? Richard is coming around. He's doing really good. All right, now I'm going to introduce the other half of the team that's our host here this evening. Lynette Two Bulls is Chief Phillip Whiteman Jr.'s wife. I was very fortunate when I had them both on the radio program. Lynette is going to come up here and welcome us. She's actually Ogallala Sioux and Northern Cheyenne as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, Lynette Two Bulls. You want this one, Lynette, or this one?
Either one. I don't know. I'll use this one.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, okay. Good afternoon. I'd just like to welcome all of you to the Northern Cheyenne homelands. And this is also the ancestral homelands of the Oglala Lakota and Dakota people as well. We used to travel and live and move in this whole area all the way up to the Bighorn Mountains, Yellowstone, this whole area. So all of this area that you've been traveling, actually all across this country, is indigenous lands. So I hope all of you understand that and recognize that. And you know, the work that we do, it brings us in contact with a lot of different people, a lot of different groups, a lot of different organizations. And sometimes we don't fully understand why Creator brings people together. And like, this is one of those groups that, you know, I don't fully understand. But I do know that Creator has his hand in all of that. And people come together for a reason. And the way I see it is, this is an opportunity to share and to connect and to encourage the audience to continue to learn and have an open heart and open mind, and to expand your mind and your heart, because they say history is written, and history is written by the man who writes it. And so what's in the books, in our history books, they're not accurate, and they don't tell the full story of, you know, your journey all across this country. And so I want to encourage the audience to learn the real history of this land. And yesterday, Phillip and I, we have a nonprofit organization called Yellowbird Lifeways. And we do a lot of work, you know, it's all about reconnecting to our spirit, reconnecting to the greatness that lies within each of us, and that spirit that lies within each of us. And when we connect to that, we're empowered. And that's what we do in our community here on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. And part of that is food sovereignty. So being able to feed ourselves, being able to empower ourselves. And yesterday, there was a greenhouse in Billings that donated. They were closing for the season, so they donated all of their plants and flowers. So we made a quick trip to Billings to pick all of this up. And while we were getting everything that they told us, they told us to take whatever you want. There was other customers there that they were allowing to take things. So they gave us this big cart with a lot of shelves on it. So we were getting all of our stuff. And mind you, this is for our community. We're going to give this out. So this lady came and she started taking stuff from our cart, and I said, excuse me, you know, this is our cart, we're filling it up. They allowed us to do that. And she said, I can't believe they're allowing you to take that much stuff. And I said, you know, we've spent a lot of money with this greenhouse. We probably spent like $10,000 on plants for our community, and so at the end they're giving back to us to help as well. And she said, you should just stay on the reservation. You shouldn't even leave the reservation because you guys closed your borders and you closed the roads. So you should just stay there. You shouldn't even be here in Billings, she told me. And I was just, you know, it was so blatant, the racism and the, you know, and so it's alive and well in this country. And we have to be honest, and we have to look at ourselves and how we might play into that. But I also believe that people can come together through spirit. And I believe through the teachings of my grandmother, Nellie Chubles, who is now on the other side. You know, she taught me to see the good in everybody. You know, and so that's how I work hard to live my life. And this lady, she was angry because she wanted these flowers that we had on our cart. And so I told her, I said, here are all the flowers, you know, that you were getting angry about. They're all right here. Take them. And she was mumbling around and she left. But, you know, that mindset is what is detrimental to all of us. And so I just really want to encourage everybody to, you know, all the viewers out there, to look within yourself and to continue to open your minds to learning, healing, and growing. And there's a lot of learning, healing, and growing to do in this country. And, you know, you can't get to, Phillip said this yesterday, you can't get to oneness through oneness. You can only get to oneness through two-ness. And sometimes it has to get really bad before we can come together. And we have to focus on what brings us together, not what divides us. And I know that you guys are making your way towards South Dakota, and that's my homeland. That's where I was born and raised, on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. And I know that, you know, there's a shrine that a lot of people look up to, Mt Rushmore. And, you know, for us as Indigenous people, it's really difficult to honor that because of the history that has taken place in this country by all of those men that are up there, including Abraham Lincoln. And the same time he signed the proclamation freeing the slaves, he ordered the mass execution of the Dakota 38 in Mankato, Minnesota. They were executed. They were all hung. And as before they were hung, they were all singing their death songs, and they were all singing for the people that were doing this to them. They were praying for these people that were doing this to them. So, you know, I just want to encourage you to try to learn and be open to this other side of history that is there. Don't be closed-minded and so stuck. You know, we can get stuck in that box in the corner, in our beliefs, in our thoughts, in our, you know, and we hang on tight to those things. You know, we're like a fist, we hang on tight. But if we can be open, you know, that's where we're going to find commonality. That's where we're going to find spirit. So I just want to thank all of you for coming, for being here. I want to thank all of the audience for listening. And maybe this is not something you expected to hear, or maybe, but we have to talk about these things. We have to address these things. And, you know, we welcome you to our beautiful homelands. And we wish you all a good trip as you go east and to the sacred Black Hills, because those hills, they're sacred to our people, and we have a connection to them. There's many sacred sites in the Black Hills. One place they call Devil's Tower, but in actuality, that's not what we call that place. We call it Bear Lodge, and it's a sacred place to us. Bear Butte is a sacred place. Blackout Peak. So there's many sacred places in the Black Hills, and so I just want to wish you a good trip as you move east, and thank you for coming. Oh, go ahead. You can.
Thank you, Lynette, but we are going to dock your pay because you're supposed to introduce Chief Phillip Whiteman. So I'll go ahead and do that. You know, it's interesting. At a time when we all complain about the history and the monuments and the things that are being torn down that represent part of our nation's history, I wonder how we think when we hear about things that we just don't even know about ourselves and what that means to our future. And so if we're seeking truth, we seek truth in all areas. And I feel that's why we got tapped to be here today. Without further ado, I would like to call up the host along with Lynette, Chief Phillip Whiteman Jr. This is his home, literally, figuratively, and forever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Phillip.
All right. I can't believe it. I'm looking out at all you beautiful people. You guys are so beautiful. There's only one ugly one out there. No need to look around. You know who you are. I want to welcome you again. And yesterday, I had a good experience. I had to challenge myself. And maybe I don't speak English all that well, but I know it enough to stay away from words that are real powerful. And some words disempower you. And I have an advantage because I still speak my language, the Cheyenne language. And that's the language of Mother Earth. It's a love-based language. We don't have words like can't, but, and, I know. Yesterday, I just touched on a little bit of what I was saying. And I think to me, silence is the strongest language. Our circles, there's no sides, there's no corners. Each and every one of us are connected in that circle. And if you empower the circle will empower you. But if you try to overpower it, it will overpower you. It's a karma. It's a mirror concept. It's a self-correcting earth. It's a natural law. And today, all those forces are still with us. And our native people, when we communicate, we don't understand and we don't believe in eminent domain or dominion. We believe in stewardship. Now, it's a whole different mindset. When you are a steward of the land, the mindset that goes along with it, you have to understand so you can be understood. You have to listen so you can be heard. And you have to understand to respect life, all of life, because you are connected to it. And then you must learn to follow, to be a leader. Because those that are following you, you are a role model in that leadership. And then the last one, it is better to be kind and right. So that's the mindset of stewardship, not ownership, not eminent domain or dominion. It sets up a whole different higher level of consciousness. When you see others of different language, different culture, different color, you automatically, naturally connect to life and what you have in common, not your differences. That song that I just sang to you, it's almost a 180 from the Star Spangled Banner. The words, it says, those that are coming over there, I'm going to look at them as my relatives. And I'm going to use my name to select one of them as my relative. They didn't see them as enemies. They saw them as relatives. When Custer came riding into the Cheyenne camp, a lot of the young men, they were excited. They put on their best regalia that day. When the songs were sang, they all went to the center and started dancing and celebrating. Because today, if I meet the Creator, I want to be in my best regalia. They didn't understand genocide. They didn't understand war. Their form of war was to let your enemy live. Cool your enemy and let them live. My grandfather told me there's 3 types of enemies. One is they're angry and they're going to come to kill. Show them your reflection of love. Put the mirror up and let them see their own hostility. What they're attempting to do to you has already been done to them. Put the mirror up. Show them their own thinking and their hostility. and it will come back on them. And then the second enemy, the one that comes with gifts, wants to be your friend, wants to make you feel acceptance. How do you deal with that enemy? Well, you make them relatives. You make them relatives. Because relatives, they know the concept of respect and honor. When you hurt others, you actually hurting yourself. And then the third enemy, it's not visible anymore. They don't have hostility. They don't have gifts. Now the third enemy, they say that the third enemy is the most vicious one. The one that is now inside you. How do you deal with that enemy? The worstest, vicious enemy of all. You change your thinking. You change your words. If you want to change the world, change yourself. The door to the future does not lie external. It's waiting for you, internal. Yesterday I mentioned how I'm really starting to like to speak English because we don't have words like can't, but, conjunctions, and where you can change your mind in the middle of a sentence. And on our language, the universe is listening. You're standing on Mother Earth. You mean what you say, and you say what you mean. So, as I'm talking to you in this language, I listen, and I understand. And the reason why I enjoy this language, because it causes conflict. And I can lie to you honestly, and I don't even feel guilty about it. I don't even feel bad about it, as long as I use this language. But if I want to humble myself and be accountable and be respectful and honorable, I return to the language of love. And I developed some exercises, and we do cultural sensitivity training throughout the country. And Trent mentioned I demonstrated the horse, maybe just 20 minutes or so, just enough. When you present yourself to the horse, and how you present yourself to the horse is really important. Not for the horse, but for you. The horse already knows you. They're 3 days in advance. They have no concept of time because they're always in time. They're in the now. I have a message to you. I have a message for you that came to me last night after I shared with you. There is an end time coming, and it's going to be soon. And how do you deal with that? So the horse reminds me to be in time, not to focus on what's coming, not to focus on the past, but to focus only in this moment, right here, right now. I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and feel the energy of Mother Earth. Feel the energy come through your feet, up your legs, up to your heart, out to your arms. Now I need you to inhale and exhale as you take that energy out at the top of your head. Now you should, with your eyes closed, you should be able to hear the traffic. You should be able to see it. You should be able to see the beautiful landscape around you. And you should be able to see the clouds above you. I need you to rise. Rise to the level of the clouds. And then I need you to go through the clouds. And I need you to go higher. Rise next to the ozone layer. And I need you to inhale and exhale as we go through the ozone layer. Now, you're in the universe. I need you to see the sun. I need you to look at the moon. I need you to look at the stars and astrology, how beautiful and perfect the Creator made everything in perfect alignment. I want you to look back down at Earth as it evolves without you. Know that if it was any closer to the sun, we would burn up. And if it was any further away, it would freeze over. But no, it evolves. And it has this canopy. And it's beautiful. It inhales and exhales. Now you're in the universe and looking back down at Earth. And it's going to evolve without you. 100 years ago, there was a whole different set of people here. And 100 years from now, there will be a whole new set of people here, if they're lucky. Now, I need you to notice that blue light as your eyes were closed. That's the blue light of unconditional love. That's the Creator. The Creator does not want us to love the Creator. The Creator wants us to love each other. That's what loving the Creator is all about. Now, I need you to bring that blue light into your body as we go back down next to the ozone layer. Inhale and exhale. Bring that blue light with you. Now you're above the clouds. Now you're going to fall through the clouds. And now you're back here over this beautiful homeland. And all of a sudden you can hear the traffic again. Now you need to inhale and exhale as you bring that light into your body. That blue light. Allow that blue light to go through your whole body. Through your arms, your heart, down your legs, and back down to Mother Earth. Now what you are now is a vessel of this blue light. Wherever there's turmoil, I want you to send this blue light of unconditional love. Wherever there's loneliness, wherever there's hatred, wherever there's people having a hard time, I need you to send this blue light that comes from the Creator and through you, send love in all the directions. Now you are going to be a vessel of it. Every thought, every word, let it come from a place of love. You cannot give away what you don't have. You must love yourself. You are unique. You are special. You're the only one of your kind. And this moment will never happen again. There was a young man walking near the forest. He heard someone crying in the distance, so he goes to see. He walks into the forest. And on a tree stump, there was a woodpecker. So he goes and asks the woodpecker, what's up? Why are you sad? Why are you crying? And the woodpecker said, early in the morning when the sun rises, the meadowlark, the robin, they sing beautiful songs and make beautiful music. And all I want to do is put hoes in trees and carve wood. The young man stood there listening to the mental anguish, the jealousy, the envy, the disconnection. Then he reminded the woodpecker that our fingerprints of the Creator are everywhere. We're extraordinary. When you focus on others' gifts, you become extraordinary, ordinary. And that's not what the Creator sent you down here for. You have a gift. Share it. And the young man returns back to his village. And then the wind came, and he could hear a voice instructing him to jump down from the tree stump. Jump down and carve 2 pieces of sticks. Put them together with tree sap, sweetgrass. Put 7 hoes on the top. And the woodpecker went carving away. And when he got done, he ended up with a stick that was hollow full of hoes. I don't want to make hoes anymore, and I don't want to carve wood. And as he was going to throw the stick down to the ground, the wind picked it up. He took his wings and covered the different hoes and made different notes and sounds. And this sound never heard in the forest went throughout the forest. And all this diverse of life came. The elk, the horse, the deer, the eagle, the hawk, the meadowlark, the robin. All the diverse, they sat in a circle. And they listened to this unique music never heard before. And even that young man, he came. And when the woodpecker got done, he said, take this back to your kind, the 2-legged, because they're forgotten. They're gift. They're crying. They're angry. They've forgotten that the Creator fingerprints are everywhere and that they are extraordinary. Beneath all those emotions and feelings is their gift. I'm going to play my instrument for you, and I hope you understand this story, because they say that there's power in this sound. Open your mind, open your heart. Let this sound take away all the differences, the need to be right, being a fault finder. All right. Open your eyes and come back. We went on a journey. It was called Rise. It's a resurrection. Okay, so now I just got a couple more stories to share with you, and I hope you're enjoying these stories because I enjoy sharing them with you. And without an open heart, without being fearless and courageous, and without, how would you say it? We have to have empathy. You got to have mercy, and you got to have compassion to be able to have the Creator in your heart. Things, they don't happen to you. They happen for you. And if you don't understand it, you'll hang on to resentments. You'll hang on to anger. And you'll hang on to want to be right all the time. You'll hang on to be one of good all the time. But once you understand life is happening for you, and you start eliminating words like can't and but from your vocabulary, and as you see life starting to happen for you, and you become a love finder, and you're leading with love, not your wounds, not your pain, not your hurt, but when you become a love finder, you attract not what you want, but what you are. What you see in others is usually what you see in yourself that you dislike, and then you judge, and then you condemn, and then you want to hurt them. But once you understand this whole different higher level of consciousness and thinking, my grandmother, I mentioned her a little bit yesterday, she would talk about the blood of Jesus. And it took me a long time to understand that. But today, I understand it. It's in the words and it's in the thoughts that you speak. You either can bless somebody or you can hurt yourself by hurting others. When you're disconnected from this place, from this blood, I heard a story. Our mother, the Creator, and this Lucifer, this devil, this bad spirit, I guess they were walking along the trail. And then our mother, the Creator, reached down and picked up this ball. It was like a crystal ball. It was glowing. It was so beautiful. And then Lucifer, the devil, said, "What is that? What is that?" And then our mother, the Creator, said, "That's the truth. The truth." And then Lucifer said, Can you give it to me? I'll organize it for you." And today, as I look around and I see all these different fractions, and they're carrying out the organization of truth. Who do you represent and who do you stand for? Today, we have an opportunity to come back together as one. I would like to share some exercises with you before I do my last story. I was real excited when I see those signs by the gate that said, "Rise, rise." So I'm going to challenge you guys. I want you to rise to your full potential. Now, they say that when you're tested and when you're challenged, you go right back to the fetal position. And you cross your legs and you cross your arms. Cross your arms and cross your legs. Now, I call this guy Big Chief right here. This is the one I call Big Chief. Now, see which hand's on top and which leg's on top? Now, what I want you to do is just release it. Release it. Now, switch it. Switch it. What did that feel like? Now, let's go back the other way. Let's go back to Big Chief. Yeah. Okay, now, here's another one. Hold your hands out like this. You're going to clasp your hands. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, man. You guys are doing good. Now, count with me. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Now, see which finger and which thumb's on top. Now, you're going to open it. Now, you're going to shift it. Now, what did that feel like? Now, let's go back to where it's comfortable. Ah, awesome. You guys are doing good. But here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to challenge you guys. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It's called what? You cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created it. So you have to learn to shift and rise problem to opportunity, rejection to redirection, setback to reset, differences to connection, scared to sacred. You literally have to participate in this shift to rise to your full potential. And it's not your neighbors, and it's not your party, it's not your relatives. You have to do the work inside you. And if you put love out first, all things are possible. And I really truly believe, like what Trent and Lynette talked about, I think the Creator is here. And you remember, with your righteousness, the end is coming, and it's going to be soon. But if you lead with love and be in time and see the beauty around you, be in gratitude, you're going to be a vessel of that blue light of perfection. And you're going to be able to love your neighbor. And that's what loving the Creator is all about. My last story I want to share with you. There was a young man. He was born paralyzed from the waist down. He had a disability. Now, we all have disabilities, each and every one of us. We all have disabilities. Now, some it's in the mind, some it's in the body, some it's in the spirit. We all have disabilities, every one of us. Now, this was a difficult time for our people. And we were forced on reservations, what you would call reservations, but we call them prison colonies. And we couldn't practice coming in circles. We couldn't practice our language. We couldn't practice our ways. We couldn't worship the Creator the way the Creator blessed us. So it put fear and shame and punish. They stripped our people of their language, their identity. The men could no longer provide or protect. And our women were being used as slaves. and they were being taken advantage of. My grandmother was one of them at Fort Laramie, just before the 1868 treaty rights were signed. The lieutenant that was there raped my grandmother, and my grandfather, my great-grandfather, was the first half-breed to come to our people. So when the Christians came, they gave him the name Phillip Whiteman. So that's the reason why my name is Whiteman. And one time I wanted to get rid of it because when I go to rodeos, when I go to the border towns, they would make fun of me. They would tease me. And I couldn't understand it. My mother told me, you need to keep your name because someday it's going to mean something. And today, where I stand in front of you, this is what she was talking about. Well, this young man had a grandfather, just like I did, that would tell him stories of how the buffalo with its horns up can march into the storm, and how our ways of the Creator and dreams can come true. This young man was being prepared to be a leader. He didn't know that. Well, one morning he told his parents, I had a dream. I must go out into the Badlands to seek a vision. Oh, the parents said, no, they'll punish us. If they hear you're out there practicing your ways, they'll punish you. They'll persecute you. They'll hang you. And then they said, they turned to the grandfather next. They said, why do you share these crazy Indian stories to your grandson? You know those days are gone. Those days are gone. For our ways are no more. And that dreams cannot come true. Grandfather was sitting there. And then he sat up and he said, I'm going to take my grandson out there. And they can persecute me, they can hang me, they can do whatever they want. But I'm going to take my grandson out there. So when he sat out there, he couldn't get up and walk because he was paralyzed. And on the second or third day, the grandfather came. Did you receive your gift? Did you receive your sign, your message? And the grandson said, no, I didn't receive anything. Well, maybe tonight, if I stay here one more night, grandfather, maybe tonight, and then tomorrow if nothing happens, well, we'll just go home. Well, sometimes in the darkness of the night, sand, gravel started coming down from the hillside. The young boy couldn't get up and walk away because he was paralyzed. He got himself ready. He sat up. And in the darkness, he could hear footsteps coming. Closer and closer and closer. Out of the darkness comes a deer. He said, oh, man, I thought I was going to see an angel or a spirit. Here it was just a deer. And then here, pretty soon, that deer started talking to him. So he sits back up. And the deer said, I brought you 7 gifts. They're eagle plumes. And 2 you will place on top. 1 for each shoulder, 1 for the back, and 1 for each leg. And this story you must take back to your people. You must prepare a regalia and get your people prepared. Get them ready. So when grandfather came the next morning, the young man was sitting there with 7 eagle plumes and a story that he needed to take back to his people. So they went home and prepared a regalia. And they called the people together, and nobody showed up. Just to feel that we're curious, and some were fearless, and some wanted to see what this story was all about. So the young man said, "There's a storm coming. The clouds are turning black. The wind is coming. It's going throughout the valley. And then the lightning is streaking across the sky. The thunder is pounding the skies, and the lightning." Just before the storm comes, a horse will prance and jump in circles and kick and prepare itself. And just then, as the storm comes, the horse will bow its head and face towards the east where the sun rises. And the storm comes. The lightning, the hail, the thunder, and then it passes. When the storm passes, the sun reappears. And right here, right now in the middle of this storm, a rainbow appears. And the rainbow is a vision of hope where all the diverse colors come together as one to protect Mother Earth and to create balance. This image of this unconditional love, the beauty of it. And this young boy was paralyzed. So he was telling his relatives, this porcupine roach represents the horse's mane. And the plumes I put in the locations where I was told to. And the yarn that you see here is going to represent the grass. And the fur above my moccasins represents the fur above the horse's hoofs. And I'm going to be able to imitate the horse prancing before the storm. And the bells I'm going to put on, and the drumbeat I'm going to dance to is of life. And all the color that you see in my regalia is going to represent this vision of hope, where Creator shows her love for diversity in her creation. So grandfather started singing and hitting the drum, and this boy starts to crawl around. Everybody knew he was paralyzed. They were feeling sorry for him. Sure, he's got a vision, he's got a dream. Well, by the time they even realized it, that young man was on his feet. He said, what you do to the left must do to the right. What you do to the right, you must do to the left. It creates balance. It creates oneness. You must be aware. So, all the people that were there, they got to see a miracle happen. And each and every one of us today, we are a vessel of that honor. We are a miracle in motion. And these exercises and these stories are really important. How I come to understand the blood of Jesus is in these stories. What you do to the left, you must do to the right. If you can't do that, you're one-sided. You're contracted. And you're intelligent. It takes spiritual, emotional intelligence to truly understand the stories that my grandmother used to share with me from the Bible. You have to turn rejection into redirection. You got to be able to turn hate back to love. We are not sheep. We are not a unreflecting herd. We are not in a hypnosis. Yeah, we might have been hypnotized, but we need to wake up and we need to rise, like your signs say. We need a resurrection, like what the story that it has in the Bible. And I hope my stories, I hope you understand them, because you need to be a vessel of this blue light. And that's what I was encouraged to do, to come here and share with you in this regalia and this heat. So I want to thank you, and we're going to have a song, and yeah.
Orders from headquarters.
Okay.
You're going to step over there for just 2 seconds.
Okay.
Then you're going to do your song. I'm not kicking you off the stage,
Okay.
but we have an Arise USA moment. Donna Fisher,
Oh, good.
if you could come
Awesome.
over here.
Okay. Yep.
Our fearless leader, Robert David Steele's been talking about females are going to drive us into the next century, the next resurrection. This is the chairman of the Northern Cheyenne, Sioux, Donna Fisher. And what I just said, and she has just shared with me, is that the first time in the history of the tribe, all of the officers within the Northern Cheyenne Tribal Council are females.
2 males.
Two,
2 males.
three females, 2 males.
3 males.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor to give Philip a little bit of a break, and he'll be back. Donna Fisher.
Thank you. Peva eshe. Papa na esheve. Good day. My Cheyenne name is Good Spirit, and I welcome you. I welcome you all to our homelands. We, like he said, in November, we were elected. The vice president and president we're all females, and there's 6 elected, and there was 3 that were already sitting on the council, and there's 3 men. So we've been doing a lot of good things. There's a lot of stuff that we had to get taken care of, and that's what we've been busy doing. But we also are the backbones of our families, and we're connected here to this earth, and we're connected in many different ways. We're connected. We still I have a mother who has seen the 5th generation. So she will be 83 in August, and I am also a Lakota. My grandfather is from the Sioux, Oglala Sioux tribe. So I have the best of both worlds. I'd like to say, but I just like to welcome you and continue to come back and see us, and let us know what else you would like to do here, and you're welcome to. We have our Chiefs powwow and rodeo, and we have horse racing over the weekend. Our powwow is started at the powwow grounds, and that's at 7 tonight, and they're probably already up there dancing, but I'm really happy that you guys stopped here, and Philip found a connection with you all. I represent this flag, and I represent this flag as well. I'm very much American Indian. My son would always correct us. Are you Native American? No, we're American Indians. And so with that, let's stay connected. Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Yes.
Okay, Philip, we almost got in the way of the horses getting a drink. Phillip will come back, finish up with the dance. I would tell you that there is no event in the United States where you will actually find a greater degree of patriotism than an American Indian powwow. Very proud of their service to the country. You've heard Chief Phillip Whiteman talk about that many times here today. And I think that's a surprise to a lot of people who have not spent time on a reservation. And the powwow is the greatest display of pride in the history and the heritage of the American Indian, but also being a United States citizen. So with that, Phillip, we're ready. Bring a horse with you. Wrapping up our program this evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Chief Phillip Whiteman, Jr.
All right, okay.
You want that one or this?
No, this right here. All right, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories, and I'm glad that our lady chairwoman come out and greet you guys. And I'm gonna do the dance and see the struggles and the miracle and the movements. Well, I hope you guys get the message.
He said to end it with my heart. You know what the most powerful thing that he said to me was? He said to all of us, but what I heard, the language that we often overlook, silence. Why is it in every conversation we're sitting there, we feel compelled to occupy the space with words, whether we need the words or not? Seems like a great time to say, one nation under God, put people above politics. Thank you to one and all. Arise, all American citizens.